Big ol' spoiler warning, guys, just in case it wasn't obvious. So here's your heads up. Watch if you've already seen the ending of the game, but yeah, let's get started. Okay, what's up, guys? This is Tom here, and today we're basically going to talk about the other theories, because everybody has their own. A few are pretty plausible, a couple are making the rounds, so I want to talk about them. Let's get started. So first, let's talk about 7 seconds to the end. So 7 seconds from when Sephiroth appears to Aerith's death. People think that's what this means. This was the first theory that a lot of us had, the first thing a lot of us thought, but upon further inspection, it actually does check out. In that scene, from the moment Sephiroth appears to the moment that Aerith dies, it's exactly 7 seconds. This was a collective galaxy brain moment from the community because we all immediately thought this is what this was referring to. But no, it's not that. In the game itself, in the chapter description, if you pull up the map here, it outright says, Sephiroth gives Cloud an ominous warning of 7 seconds until the end of the world. This directly counters the Aerith argument so many people have. I think people have it in their heads that they're going to change Aerith's death, and this means that Cloud has 7 seconds to stop Sephiroth from stabbing her, which I also thought at first, but the game directly contradicts this. I still love this theory and think it is a great plot point for all we know may still end up being true, but I also now fully believe that no matter what we do, Aerith's death is an unavoidable part of Final Fantasy VII, no matter what timeline. But only time will tell what they really end up doing. The Omni Slash. So another thing that I'm seeing an unsettling amount of people say is that 7 seconds to the end refers to Cloud's Omni Slash finishing Sephiroth at the end of the original game. So just like the Aerith bit, I went back and took a timer to it. Omni Slash in its entirety lasts about 15 seconds. I think this is an ass pull from some people because of how iconic the moment is in the original game. Just a thought that sounds cool on paper, but no one actually looked into it. Now this is the one we're going to spend the most time on, the Advent Children theory. Now, while I don't know if Maximilian Dude came up with it, he's where I found out about it, so he's getting the credit for now. If you know who originally thought of this before him, drop it in the comments and I'll pin it. But he was going into theories on a stream that asked the question, what if the game only wanted us to think that the Whisper bosses were Cloud, Barret, and Tifa? This was where 99% of us went when we scanned them and the log said, comes from a future, armed with etc., fights to protect the timeline that created it. Square wanted us to immediately think it was future versions of ourselves from the correct timeline, when in fact, this theory suggests that they're actually the Advent Children. Kadaj, Laz, and Yazoo, dumb names I know, and there's a ton of evidence to actually support this. First of all, their fighting styles. Whisper Rubrum, which is Kadaj, fights left-handed. This is an immediate red flag to people who think this is Cloud, since Cloud is right-handed. Whisper Korkeo is assumed to be Yazoo, the catch being that he fights with 2 guns, which at first I thought disproved this theory, but I went back and watched the entire movie, and sure enough, at some point there is a moment he does use 2. And Viridi is assumed to be Laz in this case. This is where the only discrepancy lies. Viridi has the right weapon and moveset to fit the bill, but Laz, along with all the Advent Children, are left-handed, just like Sephiroth. I'm not sure if this is enough to disprove this theory, since it is not actually them, but merely an incarnation of them summoned by the Whispers, who we're led to believe are under Sephiroth's control at this point the way he actively defines them. They don't need to be exactly like the originals. This is given further credence when they summon Bahamut, which would be another reference to Advent Children where the same thing happens. Parts of this theory that are really cool is that we're assumed to believe that the Whispers are Kadaj, Yazoo, and Laz, and that the Harbinger is Sephiroth. They essentially recreate Advent Children here by doing this, capped off with a fight with Sephiroth that is extremely reminiscent of the Advent Children fight. Say what you will about Advent Children, its events have always been canon, and this would be a cool, subtle way to reference it, and I actually believe this is what happens here. It makes so much sense if we're considering the time-traveling Sephiroth true. Of course he would have control over his remnants as well. Also worth noting is that every time one is defeated, the party sees a vision, specifically a vision of an exact scene from Advent Children. The beginning of Advent Children, the Advent Children version of the Cloud vs. Sephiroth, retelling, everything's from Advent Children, so it's a direct reference for a lot of reasons. In a lot of ways, both Aerith and Sephiroth are like 2 living viruses in the livestream. It ends up making more sense than I gave it credit for, that if Sephiroth found a way back and possessed his clones in the past, why couldn't Aerith do the same? This game's Aerith clearly knows way too much at points, which gives a lot of credence to this. My original theory about Sephiroth directly messing with the party to make them think they're headed towards a bad future can also play into this. I was originally so damn against the idea that it might literally be Sephiroth going back to the past, but if this is the angle they're going with it, they could do something really cool if this is the theory they do for it. This may be the theory to beat going forward, and there's a lot of evidence here to support it. We'll see what happens. Another one I've seen spread somewhat surprisingly is the take everything literally theory. So this theory is assuming this game was not directed by Tetsuya Nomura. So let's assume everything shown at the ending happens exactly as shown. The party defeats the Whisper, Sephiroth changed fate, and bam, Zack is now alive in this timeline. And what they showed wasn't an alternate universe or a what if, it is now part of this world. So let's say that is the case. Let's go under the assumption that instead of Zack's death at the end of Crisis Core, he actually drags Cloud's ass all the way to Midgar. What happened to Zack? Where is he? Why does Cloud still think he's this person? The only way for this to work, in my eyes, is that something else horrible has to happen to Zack. Like, let's say, sure, we changed fate, but maybe shortly after Zack survives, he's captured and then experimented on by Hojo for the full year between Crisis Core and the events of Final Fantasy VII. The issue with something like this is that the trauma of Zack's death is what breaks Cloud. Zack dies in Cloud's arms and passes on his hopes and dreams to him. This is the moment that makes Cloud in Final Fantasy VII the character we know him to be. Something else excruciatingly traumatic has to happen instead for Zack to live and Cloud to still be who he is, and I just don't see them going this route. The idea of Zack being alive in the current timeline correlates more to my Flashpoint theory, which I talked about in the last video on the subject, where the party's actions change the world around them, but they don't have any awareness of anything changing. That's the only way for Zack to exist in the current timeline and keep Cloud's story intact. There's definitely more crazy theories I've been hearing, like some people are saying that Kingdom Hearts is canon within Final Fantasy VII, and just like, no, but once that Ultimania comes out and gets translated, we might just be right back speculating hard. And guys, I have one request. Don't flood the comments here just to shit on the ending. I'm excited about the possibilities and really only want positive vibes on this channel. Please respect that and keep the comments related to the actual speculation if you can. And that's all I've got for you today, everybody. This ending has been a ton of fun to talk about and try to guess what's going to happen. If you want my thought, I think the Advent Children theory is very possible and is very likely what they're going to be going with. It makes so much sense that it kind of blew my mind and inspired this entire video talking about all the other theories. We have no idea what's going to happen next, and that's the most exciting part. Guys, I hope you enjoyed another speculation video from me. Who knows if it'll be the last one, but it is for now. But for all I know, another theory will come across my comments and blow my mind all over again. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Subscribe for more content.